This episode is brought to you by Freeman Manufacturing Incorporated, precision tools for the locksmith profession. I use a Freeman number 2 and absolutely love it. Hey guys, this is Wayne here, and this is where everything kind of really started as far as this documentary journey is concerned. We're in Fruita, Colorado, and when I had I was not a locksmith my entire life. Actually, things started right here. We were in this home, and I was a heavy equipment operator. So I would operate bulldozers, excavators, everything with wheels, and quite a few things without wheels. We would do this, for the early part of my career, and this was the first real career that I had, was operating heavy equipment. But it took being laid off from that heavy equipment, which I in turn at that time thought was, that was devastating to be laid off at that particular point in time. How am I going to support my family? What are we going to do? What are those different things that are happening? And, it was terrifying in the moment, but really it turned out to be one of those blessings in disguise. And had I not been laid off from that particular job, and had we not moved out of this home here in Fruita, Colorado, and moved up to Glenwood Springs, Colorado, none of this would have happened, and the story wouldn't have continued the way that it did. So just wanted to give you a little throwback, if you will, and this is where everything started right here. And I'll show you a couple other things about what we used to do, and then we'll get more into how we became a locksmith and how that all came to fruition in the long term. But this is kind of an origin story, if you will, and this is where everything all originated at. So thanks for watching, and hello out there. This is Wayne, and this is some of the stuff that we've done. This is actually a poster and a newspaper ad or article on the Ted Bundy safe that we opened. I just wanted to put this here just to kind of have something to show one of the bigger accomplishments that I've done throughout my career. This is the Ted Bundy safe. There were photos of Ted Bundy locked in this safe that people hadn't seen in years, since he actually escaped from I believe it was the Garfield or Pitkin County Sheriff's Department. So this was one of the largest things that happened in my career. This made local news because it had the aspects of having a cool antique safe open on top of having a serial killer, which drives people's interest. So you've got a safe, which is a mystery box, an antique safe. So it's kind of old school. It has some historical value. And it also has one of the most notorious serial killers ever known. And this guy's known worldwide. Ted Bundy is known worldwide. And so this was me opening that safe and the article that they did on it. And then there's the actual $20 bill that was inside the safe that they did give to me so that I could put it in here. Pretty cool stuff, really. That was really, really cool. And so what I wanted to do is explain, how did we get started? How did I get started doing this, and how can somebody else become a locksmith? I get asked this question so often that I wanted to make this entire documentary, or at least this season, going back to the beginning and kind of looking where we started and where we are now. In just over a decade, I went from operating heavy equipment, not locksmith related, security related under any circumstances whatsoever, to a locksmith that was trained, owning my own business and company, having 3-4 trucks now. I've got 4 service vehicles. I've got 2 technicians, and then myself as well, and some office staff as well. So how did we get from where we were, being, an hourly employee, and just barely kind of scraping by and not really knowing what I wanted to do with my entire life, to having goals and having things set up, to being a business owner, being one of the most recognized and well-known locksmiths in the entire industry, one of the most sought after trainers and instructors. I fly all over the country to teach what I know. And what I know is how to do complex things and break them down into simplistic bites so that people can understand it in a easy to consume format. I've also become the ALOA, or the ALOA, Associated Locksmiths of America. I've become the Southwest Board Director for the largest association in the world for locksmiths and security needs. And that's a lot to pack into a small amount of time. And what we really need to do is kind of understand where we started from. And that's what I'd like to start really going over now. So where did things start out? I used to actually operate heavy equipment out in the oil field and for a company called Grand Junction Pipe. I was kind of working out of my teens and early 20s and kind of working into the oil field, and did the oil field thing where it basically kind of blew out my back. Just did a lot of body damage, working insane hours. I was working, 12, 14-hour days, 7 days a week for months and months and months on end with no days off. That was the work ethic that I had to be able to support my family. But that was all putting money in somebody else's pocket. Every hour that I was working, I was exchanging my time for dollars to go and build somebody else's dream. And so one of the things that I wanted to do is I needed to do something that didn't involve my back so much and didn't involve so much pressure on my back all the time, because that was really starting to become a problem. I have compressed discs, I've got bulging discs, herniated discs, all up and down my spine. So I've got a lot of back pain going on, and I knew that career wasn't going to be sustainable. So what did we do? Well, what happened was I was the last person. It was that 2008, 2009 economic crash. I had made it all the way to 2012 without getting laid off from any of my jobs, and I was able to stay there. I was the last heavy equipment operator laid off. I was one of the best in the field. I did the exact same thing that I'm doing in the locksmith trade and industry. I did that in the heavy equipment operating field as well. I started off, I got my CDL, driving trucks, big trucks, semi-trucks, dump trucks, tanker trucks, boulder trucks, all that stuff. And then eventually started running bulldozers and motor graders, excavators, everything with wheels and a couple things without them. And so that's what I did. And I realized that this is not going to be a good long-term solution. So the opportunity came up for a locksmith business that was for sale. This business came up for sale, and I was able to acquire this business and basically start over. But what it took to actually do this is, you'll have to understand, like, for those of you that are out there struggling, I feel you. I understand the pain that you're going through, because I went through the exact same thing. I've had homes that were almost foreclosed on and had to do short sales on. I've had vehicles that have had to be repossessed and turned back in. Running out of money before the end of the month and deciding, do you want water? Do you want heat? Do you want electricity? Do you want TV? What do you want? And you got to make a choice. You can't have it all. You got to make a choice and pick one of those things. To now, I have a business that makes, a pretty decent amount. I mean, we're coming up on almost $1 million in revenue a year. And how did we go in a decade? How did we go from so broke that, you're having things taken away from you and stripped from you, to being able to grow and expand and afford all the things that we want, and buy new vehicles and a decent home and have all of these different things? Well, this business came up for sale, and it was a ways away. So we were in Fruita, Colorado. We were living in Fruita, Colorado. And I'll post a little insert here so that you can see where we lived. And then after we lived there, what happened was I had to leave my family there, and I had to come up to a new location in the Glenwood Springs area. That's where this business was for sale, and that's where it was operating from, was the Glenwood Springs, Carbondale, Aspen, Colorado area. And so I literally stayed in a motel, and maybe we'll come by there and we'll get some footage of that as well. But I stayed in a hotel for 3 months. The deal with this business was it was on Craigslist. It was an already established business, and the gentleman that owned it was getting ready to retire. And so when he wanted to retire, what we did is he wanted to sell the business, sell the van, the business, the phone number, and everything, and then walk away. Well, he wanted to train somebody if they needed that training, and so I did. So it came with the business, it came with the van, it came with the stock, it came with the phone number, it came with all the client list and everything, and the 90 days training. First thing I'll tell you right now, 90 days training is not enough to become a locksmith anymore. The industry's too big, it's too massive, there's too much to learn. So if you're thinking about becoming a locksmith, trust me on this, 90 days training is not enough. You really need a good solid year out in the field to really become a competent, qualified, intelligent technician. I just had to turn my experience into overdrive because I had already burned my bridges. I was not going to make it as an equipment operator any longer. My body and back would no longer allow me to do that. So what we had to do is learn an entire new trade in 90 days. Again, that's 3 months. I'd like to reiterate that. And go from an hourly employee who has no idea about running a business, paying taxes, payroll taxes, insurance, any of these things. And I had to learn all of that and learn how to become a business owner in 3 months, 90 days. That's all we get. And then the owner's going to retire and then sink or swim, buddy. That's how it goes. So that's exactly what I did. We learned the industry, we learned the trade, and we basically took a business that was, making somewhere around $80,000 to $100,000 a year, and we 10x'd that, bring in 10 times that much now. So how did we grow and 10x that from that point in time to here? Not to mention starting a training group. I have Wayne's Lock Shop. So if you're looking to become a locksmith, that's one of the best resources. I literally film in the field the real deal stuff that I deal with every single day and put that on wayneslockshop.com for other people to learn from my experiences. And that is one of the biggest reasons that I do the things that I do. I do the things that I do because there wasn't very much information. When I started in 2012, there wasn't hardly any information on YouTube. YouTube was still fairly new. And so you couldn't just go on there and just type in, how to open my door or how to pick a lock or how to rekey a lock. That information was not available. You had to be part of the associations. You had to be part of a LOA or a local locksmith association, and you had to have somebody that would help teach you these things because you couldn't find it on demand. Information on demand was not accessible at that point in time. It is now, and now there's an abundance of information. Unfortunately, most of the things that you're going to see on YouTube are unfortunately poor information. I would say there's about 80% poor information on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, those type of platforms, and about 20% quality information that can actually help you accomplish what you want to accomplish. Those are my personal findings. You might have a different experience, but as a professional, that's about what I see. So I started making YouTube videos and I started putting this information out there. And when I put this information out there, it was pretty well received, and my YouTube channel was growing. I was getting a lot of positive feedback right up until the industry started kind of catching wind of what I was doing. And the industry was fairly upset that I was posting videos on how to open locks or how to drill something or defeat something. And so I found myself in a bit of a struggle there. Do I sabotage the industry that's been giving me all of the things that I have? Or do I kind of find a different way and tone it back a little bit and maybe show a lot of what I do on YouTube, but maybe save the how-to part of it and the actual technical information for a private page? And that again is what Wayne's Lock Shop is. That's what Wayne's Lock Shop does, is I took all of the information that I don't feel comfortable putting out there, because here's the deal. I don't care who posts what out there. It's not under my control. But I can assure you that any video that is out online that says lock picking or bypassing or drilling or anything that's being posted out there on how to bypass security, there are probably some legitimate people who are good-intentioned, well-intentioned people that use that information in a good way. There's also a far larger part. I would even venture to say that 80-20 rule would probably apply again, where 80% of people seeking that information out are probably bad intentions, not good intentions, and bad intent, okay? So you've got kids that are looking to open a lock or bypass a safe so they can get their hands on prescription pills, firearms, drugs, any things that the parents have tried to lock away from them, or a cabinet, right? Looking to go open a liquor cabinet or something like that. That's where a lot of that information is really going to use. And I don't agree with that. You also have ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends, stalkers. People have bad intent and ill intent for this information. So I found myself in a moral dilemma. And that's why I decided to cut the line down the middle. I'll show how I do a lot of things, how-tos on YouTube for free, which you can check out my channel, We Do. You can also check out all my other social media platforms. Go ahead and follow me on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter/X. We're on all those platforms, Threads, just about everything, we're out there. So look for me, look at official Wayne Winton or Wayne Winton official on those pages. I'll post the links below if you want to check that out. And I'll post a link to Wayne's Lock Shop as well. But getting back to the main story, that's where I found myself, is I was putting some of these videos out and I was getting mixed results. And I wanted to help people. I was figuring that I was beating my head against the wall, bang, bang, trying to figure out a lot of these complex tasks. Locksmithing has these little detents that you push this little spring to release this, and you have to have a key, and you have to hold this just right. There's all these little tricks to the trade. And I wanted to show people that, hey, we can organize this and find good information so that we can have a good experience. And if I can save somebody a half hour, an hour, or 2 hours trying to complete a task, I want to do that. And that's exactly what I did. After doing that, I found myself kind of in a struggle as to where exactly that line was going to be. So that's where we came up with the private page, and we came up with the public pages as well. So moving, and we'll fast forward just a little bit more. I'm learning the trade, I'm learning the industry, I'm learning the tricks, I'm meeting new people, and now finally, after about a year or two of operating on my own and just kind of fumbling and failing, or learning, if you will. Yes, I have failed a tremendous amount, and anybody that does any kind of work like this is going to fail. I mean, you're going to have failures at some point in time. So going through those failures, finally I was able to actually go get some official training, go to an ALOA or SAFTA convention, go to a trade show, learn what that's all about, take some real legitimate classes, and I realized this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. And so I made it my goal to become an instructor. And so that's exactly what I did, is we became an ACE ALOA certified instructor, or ALOA certified instructor, ACE. And that basically takes naval training from the military and puts you through a program that's 3 or 4 days long. And you learn how to be a certified technician to train people. So I was learning the information, and I was teaching and learning how to be an instructor as well. And I figured, hey, instead of going to these conventions and having to pay thousands and thousands of dollars to go attend these things, if I'm actually one of the instructors, I can have my expenses paid for me. So that's my business mind coming into effect, saying, hey, there's a better way to do this, and there's a more effective, cost-effective way to do this as well. So that's what I did. I started learning, I started building classes, I started doing my own thing, and then we started getting asked to come to different conventions. I go to HL Flake, or now Banner, formerly HL Flake. I go there and teach. We'll actually be teaching there this spring. I teach at other locations. We taught at McDonald Dash. I've taught for the South Carolina Locksmith Association. We've done a lot of training and a lot of education, and now I instruct for the Associated Locksmiths of America as well. And it just took a long time, and I know it seems like it took a long time. A decade is a long time, but there was a lot of work involved in each one of those steps and finding myself along the way each time. And that's basically how we got to the point where we are here today. So I just wanted to kind of share that story, and I hope it inspires you. If you're watching this and you're one of those people out there who's like, hey, I'm thinking about becoming a locksmith, or I'm thinking about becoming a security technician, or I think I want to do electronic access or low voltage, or some of the really big hot ticket things that are out there right now, I encourage you, stick with it, do it, learn the insides and outs, learn the people that you need to know and the top tier people in that industry, because I guarantee you the most valuable asset that you'll have is a Rolodex or a phone, a cell phone full of numbers for people who are experts in their field who can help you when you get in a pinch. That is the number one piece of advice. Information. This is an information and knowledge-based industry, and information and knowledge is king. That who has the most information wins the game of security and locksmithing. So with that, I'll go ahead and wrap things up, and we'll go over some calls that we ran over the last month or so here, and I'll put some of those in. But I just kind of wanted to give you an idea and a background. I was not born doing this stuff. I didn't just show up and know how to do all these things. I had to learn and put in the time and put in the work and put in the effort, just like anybody else would have to learn something new or to learn a new trade or to learn something new in the industry. You have to put in the work, you have to put in the time, and you have to want to be able to do it. And always set your bar higher than you think you can go, because you are much smarter and much more intelligent than you think. You can actually do more than you probably give yourself credit for. And I want to encourage you, stick with it, go with it, run with it, and live your dreams out. Thanks for watching, and enjoy these couple clips of some work and some calls that we ran over the last couple weeks. And just enjoy what you see. Go ahead and look over my shoulder, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.